This is the Little Moments Count radio podcast, created in partnership with community radio stations throughout Minnesota. Each episode, you'll hear interviews with early childhood experts on how to support the important brain development that takes place in the first 1,000 days of life, just through little moments every day. Learn more at littlemomentscount.org/podcast.
It's a good day to be Indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. We discuss local and national Native news and events. And as we all know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. And I want to say that this episode of Native Roots Radio is presented in partnership with Little Moments Count. Little Moments Count is a statewide collaborative focused on helping parents and caregivers learn about the importance of brain development in the first 3 years of life. And we're excited. We're going to have awesome guests come up, and we're going to be talking about this beautiful program and how important these things are. So, Wendy, we're a national show here, and Wendy's in New York, and Ogama's up in the what we like to call the deep north, up in Bemidji Way, and we are all over Turtle Island. So it's exciting to speak our truth and talk about these things. We're here with Vanessa, who's the director, and it's hard for me to say this word here, but I'll just say the Lower Sioux Early Head Start and Start Dakota Language Immersion Program. Welcome, Vanessa. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, and really, let's talk about this. Have a conversation about this. This is really important things. Can you just, before we get going too far, I'd like you to just tell us a little bit about yourself too.
Well, Hami Dakriapi, Ahipi Kion Staff, Vanessa Goodthunder Makiapi, Dakota Cincinnati de me, Chanshapi de Matahawana, Chanshapi Wakanya Owayawa Ot Ediktawani, Oit Tancha Hemachaye, He Dad Dakota Iapi, Kawitia Unkiapi, Kde Chinch, Wakanya Ob Dakota Inkiapi, Chinch, Dakota Oyate King. Dakota Iapi Kiha Stod Kiapikde. He Hechid Ibiruk Chanye. Well, hello everybody. My name is Vanessa Goodthunder. My Dakota name is Nasnawi, which means jiggling woman, and I come from where they paint the trees red, which is also known as the Lower Sioux Indian community in southwest Minnesota. So to the left, you're going to see some corn, and to the right, you're going to see some more corn. Very rural area. And I am currently the director of Chanshayapi Wakanyaja Owayawa Ot, otherwise known as Sioux affectionately. It just means the Lower Sioux Early Head Start and Head Start. So I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm very excited to hear you speak your language so well and be a part of a Head Start program where you can speak to our little ones in a good way. And that's really exciting. Can you tell us why people would, especially our Dakota relatives, would want to learn the Dakota language?
Yeah, I always say, my language is a part of me, and without it, I'm not whole. It has everything in it, our language. It has all of our Dakota Wichoha, our Dakota ways of life. It has our star knowledge. It has our math in it. It has our history. It has everything encapsulated in it. So when you know your language, you're slowly starting to know yourself, because we know that systematically it was taken away from us. So currently there's only 5 first language speakers left in the state of Minnesota, and they're all over the age of 66 years old. So we are in a race to remember, reclaim, and reconnect to who we are in that language there. we as a tribe here at Chanshayapi, we had about 86% vote yes that they would like to have a school open. And so then we wrote a grant, and that's what we did. We opened in August of 2018.
Let me talk about a little bit the importance, and I know Wendy and I have a godchild who speaks Spanish fluently and English, and it took her and her brother a lot longer time to say their first word because their mind was, or their brain was like tying up some loose ends and everything, and with the two languages. So it's important, I think, too, to know the Dakota language too, along with English. Because of that, you become you become really, I don't want to say smarter, but you become smarter almost, it seems like.
Oh goodness, absolutely. It like really helps with your executive functioning in your brain. That mental flexibility that you're able to do is going from in and out of two worldviews, because the two different languages, they're two different ways of looking at life. And so it just switches on and off. And when you have that increases your ability to do your standardized tests. It increases, and when you know your indigenous language specifically, so like Dakota, it increases your self-esteem because you know who you are. You have that sense of being and sense of belonging again. It's less anxiety. It creates self-efficacy too. And so you know who you are, so therefore you know where you're going to go. So there's just so many awesome benefits that knowing a second language, but specifically knowing your own indigenous language, is gonna just help you and therefore help with the tribal sovereignty as a whole.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have you on, and you're a younger person, and you're really leading the way. And I'm from the generation and the generation before me where a lot of this was taken away from us. So it's so important to hear you speak your language, to promote your language to your students and to the children around you. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, we get when I was young, Thanksgiving was like almost like a kegger, hanging out with the white people and having turkey, and that isn't really what happened. And I think you young ones or younger ones are really bringing out the truth, because of the history was not really. The history is always written by the victors, so we haven't had a real good look at what really Native people were doing and who they are.
Goodness, I think we're still in that race to learn. I am a second language learner. My hope is that because we believe with the language, it helps us heal from historical trauma, to then get back to Dakota Wichocha, as the elders say. So we're born with Dakota Wichocha, it's in us, but we're thrown outside the circle and can't obtain it because of historical trauma. And we can talk all day from it, but if we continue to learn our language, we believe that we're healing from that and getting closer and closer. So my dad, who's no longer here, but he remembers 1978, American Indian Religious Freedom Act happened. He said, Vanessa, that was just a piece of paper. The damage was done. And so it took a long time for here at Chanshayapi to get our first Wiwangwachi or Sundance back. It took a long time for the first Inipi, the Sweat Lodge, to come back. And he remembers those times. Well, fast forward to 1994, where I was born, making the world a better place, hopefully. I never had to go without a Sundance, and I've never had to learn what it was like to be without an Inipi. And so my hope and my strive is to help these young ones never have to know what it's like not to know your language, because I got to feel that and know that, and get comfortable with that. And so now I'm hoping to keep taking it forward, and hopefully they will take the lead too and keep on going forward so we can all get back to Dakota Wichocha.
Well, that's the talk about your educational goal, because I know it's so important, and I think I believe that people that learn their language at a young age and learn their ways will take it with them forever. They may leave for a little bit, but they will come back, and that's important. Tell us a little bit about your educational goal for the little ones.
Oh, goodness. I'm just here trying to give them the tools and resources that they need to grow and be whoever they want to be and make this community however they want it to be. That's what was given to me, and now I'm hoping to do the same. I was supposed to be a social studies and Dakota language high school teacher because we didn't have that at our high school. And my cousin Adam at Upper Sioux had Koshi Carey, Grandma Carey, at theirs. So I was jealous. So then I wanted to come and bring that back here. And then life happens, as you know, and next, we built a school and here we are just knowing that this age is where we're going to start building from. I mean, we didn't even have an education department, really, which we opened that about the same time we opened the school. So we're just growing and hoping to do our best.
Well, you are doing your best, and you are doing well. We have a lot of listeners in Wisconsin. We're on like 23 radio stations in Wisconsin. Also, maybe you can just give everyone kind of an idea of where you are physically in the state of Minnesota. Oh,
yeah. We're in southwest Minnesota. So right next to the Minnesota River, in the Minnesota River Valley. So there's Upper Sioux and there's Lower Sioux. My grandma's from Upper Sioux. I'm from Lower Sioux, but I live here from Lower Sioux. I always joke that I'm Middle Sioux. And I don't know if that really answered the question, but that is the best I got. No, that's 2.5 hours from the Twin Cities.
Right on. Yeah, no, that works. And I always like to say that because a lot of people don't know, and we have a lot of not only natives across the country listening to us, but a lot of white allies. So it's good to let them know where we are because we're still here. We're everywhere, right?
Yes.
Well, we got less than a minute left. I'm going to leave the floor to you. What would you like to end with? What would you like to say that we haven't talked about?
Goodness, I think my favorite part about here is just knowing your language, keep growing it as much as possible, one word, and spread that to 5 people, and then thus force, and of course our wraparound services. Historical trauma did a number on us, and it took a lot of resources and funds to take our language away, and it's going to take even a lot more to bring it back. So therefore, do whatever you can to bring back the culture and language and keep going. We just added ribbon skirts and shirts into our dramatic play area in our classrooms, and that's something we didn't have before. And so slowly, we're just going to continue to grow. And I hope other folks decide to grow as well with it and for it. So, Pirama Yapi.
Pini Gigi, thank you so much for being on Native Roots Radio. Vanessa Goodthunder, a Lower Sioux, and doing the work of many. Pini Gigi for coming on. Like to see you again.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Thanks for listening to the Little Moments Count radio podcast in partnership with community radio stations throughout Minnesota. You can find the Little Moments Count radio podcast wherever you get your podcasts and at littlemomentscount.org/podcast.